there guys, Matthew here, joined by Liv for our review of Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 9, Ascension of the Cybermen, the penultimate episode of the series, and of course the beginning of the two-part finale. Now, of course, there's been a lot building up to this finale. We are not sure, or we weren't sure if it was going to bring in the whole timeless child thing, if Jack was going to be involved. We went into this quite blind, other than the lone Cyberman, which we of course found out about last week. So, bearing that in mind, what did we think about this week's episode?
This is a hard one because so much happened in the episode. I overall don't know my actual thoughts on it.
Did you at least like it?
So much happened.
Did you at least like it? Or dislike it? Or love it? Or hate it?
I didn't dislike it. But there was so much going on in like one episode to digest it all. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Well, I think we've had episodes like Fugitive of the Jadoon where more was going on in this episode. I thought this episode was good, but I wouldn't say it was great. I just sort of thought it was good. I feel like it was an episode that sort of... It was a great episode in moments, like the first 10 minutes with them defending themselves from the Cybermen was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I think it sort of was still good, but that's what I mean. It was good. It wasn't great. It then sort of lulled until they got into the ship, and then it lulled until we found out about the new Cybermen, and then it lulled a bit again until the Doctor found the boundary, and then it had a great ending. So I feel like it was great in moments, and it held a steady pace, and it held a very, very steady, episode, and it was good. I keep saying the word good because it was, but apart from moments, I was never like, wow, that makes sense.
What confused me most of all, so I felt in one episode, so there was two stories going on. One story was it was like the first bit at the beginning was that child that got abandoned and then just left on the road, and Duran and his family take him in, and then all of a sudden the Doctor comes into play in the second half of a story. So I felt in one episode, so there was two stories that was going on, but yeah, but we didn't get the answers to the first story. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, well, I think we'll find that out in the next episode, but I wasn't really sure what I thought about that, because there were, again, times where I was interested, like when he was shot and when he woke up. But other than that, I was sort of just wanting them to just rush that bit out of the way, because I was enjoying the other stuff. So every time this other story would pop in, I'd be sort of like, I'm not bothered, move.
Yeah.
And I'm maybe this guy is the lone Cyberman. Maybe is it the same guy? I think it might be. I don't know, but I don't really see why you'd need so much of a backstory for the lone Cyberman.
No, I don't.
If that's who it is,
I don't get it.
I don't know who else it could be. So I sort of enjoyed it for what it was, but I'd say 70% of it I was wanting to just get on with the episode, and the other 30% I was just sort of like, I'm not bothered. Move on to the real stuff. So I don't know that they're gonna conclude that in the next episode, but I'm not really bothered.
I just think that he's pushed so much in to an episode that, so there's parts of it where you were like, too much information. Do you get where I'm coming from?
It was very convoluted, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, I think an episode like this is very reliant on the finale, what comes next, because there are a lot of things, a lot of questions, obviously, at the moment, and that's the whole point of a penultimate story. It builds up, so that's why it's hard to sort of review these stories individually when there's a lot relying on what happens next week and the payoff. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, the way it's split in two, I wasn't really bothered about the second half. If the other half with that Brendan, I mean, if if it comes to something, then fair enough. I might look back on it differently. But at this moment in time, I just don't really see what the point of it was. And
No, I
obviously
don't.
there is a point, which we'll find out about. But watching it this week, I just felt like it was a distraction from the actual episode. But the crux of the story, obviously, was that the Doctor... We've passed the Cyber Wars. The Cyber Wars have happened. And the Doctor and the companions meet the final survivors on Earth, the final humans, we're led to believe. And the goal is to escape the Cybermen and reach the boundary, which we found out about at the end. And the story was pretty much split in two. You had the Doctor and Ryan, and that young lad trying to find the boundary, and then you had the others going off, and obviously they had to go on the ship with the other humans, they got to go on a cyber ship, etc. So what did you think of the story being split in two? The Doctor and Ryan in one half, the companions in the other?
I liked it. I like how they were split off from one another. I also liked at the beginning, as well, how the Doctor was really like harsh on the companions, kind of, and Jevon said to them, "You need to go.
Yeah.
It's dangerous." I really liked that when them getting split off.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
I really liked that first 10 to 15 minutes. I liked how the defences that the Doctor... Because at first when she set up them defences, I sort of thought, oh, they can't defeat the Cybermen that easy. I mean, I like the reference to the gold. That was cool, among other things. But what I really liked about how it started was how the Cybermen just debunked the whole thing.
Yeah.
A couple of cyber drones just literally appeared and just wiped the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really, really cool. It's sort of... The Doctor felt confident and felt like she'd done everything she could, and the Cybermen just completely written it off. And what did you think of the cyber drones?
I liked them.
I thought they were quite cool.
A nice idea.
Yeah, like
a nice idea.
I remember seeing I think someone saw clips of them and they thought, oh no, the Cybermen are flying again. But I liked how they were drones.
I did.
With the cyber heads. I thought that was really, really cool.
I also liked in the middle of the episode, so where Graham and Yaz were you're on that trip that we're trying to get out, and when they landed on this like Cyberman thingy, and there was all these like loose parts of the Cybermen hitting the ship. I love that scenery. Yeah, that was really good.
I thought that was awesome. We'll get onto that bit in a bit, but yeah, for the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes, I really, really enjoyed that, and I was very on edge at the start as well when they got split off.
Yeah.
And obviously when the Doctor's... And that was a fantastic scene when she, was straight with her companions. When she said, I've been reckless. I really like that because it sort of links in with what we've been saying before about how everything's been happy-go-lucky and easy-going for the companions. It's been all easy. And It sort of indicates towards that a little bit, that the Doctor's sort of looking at and thinking, I haven't really made it, apparent how dangerous life with me actually is. I've not actually warned you guys and prepared you for when something like this might happen. Yeah. So I liked that. I liked how when things got serious, the Doctor sort of come to this realisation of, crap, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for this. You have to leave, sort of thing. And the companions, because of how easy things have gotten, how easy things have been, they don't really get it.
No.
They don't really understand how dangerous this is.
And also the problem with this era of the show, the companions haven't been tested enough with dangerous monsters, big scales like the Cybermen and stuff like that, because in previous eras, so the companions have went through a lot. So in the first series of stuff, do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And by the time they leave, they're completely ready. I mean, look at Martha Jones. She travelled the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Rose ended up working for UNIT in the parallel universe. So a lot of other companions become very prepared. And I feel like finally we're seeing the coming of age of some of these companions where they're having to be... I mean, especially Ryan and Yaz, Yaz and Graham, which we're definitely going to talk about. I feel like this episode certainly put them in a position where they had to be independent.
Yeah.
They had to be proactive, think on the feet without the Doctor. Well, that's for Yaz and Graham, which we'll talk about. But for the first bit, I thought that was fantastic. Then they get split. Mm-hmm. And at first, I thought Ryan being the one left behind was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, I sort of sat there and I thought, oh my God, he's in danger. Ryan might get killed here. He's been left behind. And I started to panic for his character. But then the Doctor found him. And I was like, Ryan's back in the comfort zone that is around the Doctor.
I thought that was way too easy. Way too easy. Like, all of a sudden, the Doctor finds him. Everything's okay. So I would have rather Ryan got captured by a Cyberman.
Yeah.
Took somewhere with a Cyberman and something like that. But I didn't like how easy it was for the Doctor to find him.
I would have liked them to have took Ryan hostage and they could have had something over the Doctor then.
Yeah.
They could have said, well, you want to do this, but we'll kill Ryan then, sort of thing. And it would have put him in a bit of danger. And going on to the split, obviously, at first, like I said, I thought having Ryan on his own would be a good thing. But as the episode panned out, I think it was the completely wrong thing. Because I thought Yaz and Graham going off with the humans on the cyber ship was fantastic. Yasmin Khan has done a bigger U-turn than Nardole. She, honest to God, Mandip Gill, Yasmin Khan, was fantastic this week.
She took control.
She was brilliant.
She took control of every situation.
She was brilliant.
Every situation, and with Graham, there was moments where he was still Graham and funny, but also what I liked, because there we were just also seeing different sides of him, and I love that.
Yeah, I did.
I really like that, and there's it's with no disrespect to Toes and Core, but I do feel like he is the weakest link.
Yeah.
In this TARDIS team, because Yaz and Graham on their own in that one episode, so it's done so much more than Ryan has the whole series.
Yeah,
and that says something. Them
two were brilliant when they got split off, and they were with these humans who are, of course, the last remaining humans who were trying to survive. They were trying to, obviously, they're on a ship that didn't have any power, so it was literally survival. Them two stepped up and they showed what they'd learnt from being with the Doctor.
Yeah.
Graham, not as much, but he's not naturally a leader. He's a lot more, I wouldn't say vulnerable, but he's not as outspoken. He's a little bit more happy-go-lucky. Yaz was the one who stood up and basically said, I'm going to have a look to see what's out there. Every time the humans were panicking, every time they were worrying, she was the one who was trying to drive them on.
Yeah.
She was basically the Doctor.
Yeah.
Of that group. And I just feel like putting Yaz and Graham in that cyber ship with all them new Cybermen, and obviously the lone Cybermen turning up, they were in grave danger. And at the end, they're in a position where you think, oh my God, are they going to survive?
Yeah.
That's where they should have placed Ryan. Because at least then we'd have been a bit like, oh crap, is Ryan going to die? Or it could have been a chance for him on that ship to step up himself. He could have been the one who stepped up. He could have been the one who was the driving force, who at least had a bit of a backbone behind him. But all he did... Yeah, but other than that...
I don't think so.
What did he do with the Doctor, though? He spent the entire time on the ship asleep. He was actually asleep.
Because if it was Ryan and Yaz that went off in the ship, so I don't think them scenes would have been as good. Just because with Ryan, he panics about every single situation, moans along on every single situation. So them scenes where Yaz was brilliant. So if you placed Ryan in them, so I would feel like so I would think that Yaz would be comforting Ryan.
Yeah, I get
them
that.
Scenes, do you see what I mean?
Maybe put Ryan and Graham in that situation. Maybe. I just think that putting him on the ship with the Doctor was the wrong place to put him.
Safest place.
Yeah, it's almost like the writers were thinking, well, there's nothing we can do with him. We'll just put him out the way.
And this is a mistake. So of having 3 companions in a series.
Well, we've said this many times.
There's always one person that either gets left out, not having much to do or say, and even in this series, it's Ryan. I can't name in this series what he has actually done.
I can't name a thing, especially in this episode. Apart from the start, other than that, I don't think he literally. I mean, literally in the background of the scene on the ship, he was asleep. So I don't know if it was the rightest thinking. We've got nothing for him. We'll just put him to the side. I just think if there was one of the 3 that could have just, this was the opportunity. They could have just at least tried to put him in that position. Maybe the fact that they didn't shows what the writers think of his character. I don't know. But they were split into 2. Obviously, as we've already spoke about Ryan and Yaz and how good they were. What did you think of that side of the story on the cyber ship? Because I think my difference in opinion compared to what their side of the story and the Doctor side is very, very different. Because I thought the half of the story which had, or the third of the story, which had the humans, Yaz and Graham on that cyber ship was brilliant. It was scary, it was intense, it was suspenseful, it had me on edge. Whereas, like I said with Ryan, I feel like the Doctor, Ryan and that other lad were just sort of put on the side. Because what really happened on their side of the story? They get this signal, they steal a ship, they travel to they travel to the boundary, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like much happened on that side of the story.
No,
so
I agree.
It's not only like Ryan's being put on the side. In a way, it's like the Doctor was sort of put to the side. I mean, would you have preferred... I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's a reason why she had to be there because the whole boundary Gallifrey thing at the end. But I don't know what it is. I just think I wish more had happened. Maybe when she nicks the ship, they at least are getting chased down by some other cyber ships that they have to fight off. Nothing happened on their side of the story, really, until the end.
Yeah. So I feel like... I feel like the Doctor might have been misplaced in all of this. But looking at the episode as a whole, this is what confuses me with it. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I wouldn't say she was misplaced. I just think all the action, all the cool scenes, all the awesome moments happened with Graham and Yaz on that cyber ship.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing else really happened. After they get split and the Doctor steals the ship, nothing happens until the very end. I just wish at least the Doctor, when they'd stolen the ship, had been getting chased down by other cyber ships or had to fight them off. Just something else of substance to happen on that side of the story. Because I feel like that affected Ryan, it kind of affected the Doctor, really. Because apart from some key awesome moments which she had, what did the Doctor do in this episode after they'd nicked the ship up until the end? Not much.
This is what I mean with the writing for Geordie. Like, I'm not wanting to say too much on Geordie in this episode, in this review, and just because after series 12, so we are going to do a proper video on my thoughts on Geordie versus your thoughts on Geordie, but all she had was very long drawn out talking scenes. I felt. I
think I get the start. She was very, very good. The way she fended off the Cybermen was good, and at least on the ship, she had that again, another sort of confrontation with the Cyberman where they were talking. But I felt like that just went on a little bit too much, and it was sort of repeating what happened last week when they had a confrontation. It wasn't nothing really that new. I wouldn't say it built the stakes up or made things any more intense between the two. It was just another talking scene.
They had that confrontation last week, and in the start of the episode, they had that confrontation again. So why did they feel the need to voice him on the ship for another confrontation? Do you get what I mean?
This will lead into my thoughts on the lone Cyberman, but yeah, I mean, again, a bit like the episode, in moments I thought the Doctor was fantastic, but I don't think she didn't do much. Mm-hmm. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you say, it was just because there's so much going on and there was so much to try and fit in. With so many characters. Again, like every episode of this series, there's so many characters. Maybe there's just too much that they're trying to do.
There was far too much going on. I feel what Chris has done. So I've looked at the finale from last season, whatever that was, and said, that didn't work because there wasn't much going on. So what I felt like he's done, so he's just thrown everything into this one episode. And from hindsight, it was too much.
Maybe. There wasn't enough time to flesh out every single corner of this episode.
So I just feel like the episode would have been better without the second part of the story. It was this Brendan guy, abandoned baby thing, away from it.
Yeah, maybe put more time into the Doctor on their side of things.
The Doctor on their side of the things, the ship on that side of the thing, and make all that together. And even like at the end, so was the Master returning. So I was like, well, so even though it was a shock to see him come back, and I liked it, again, I just felt like, so they're having too much stuff in one episode.
Maybe, I mean,
to really build it up.
Again, it just depends on what happens next week. It really, really does. At the moment, there's just so many question marks.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to judge, but just on how the episode was, again, I think 1/3 was fantastic. The other third was okay. The other third is I'm sort of on the fence with at this moment in time.
So at the end was the Master coming back. So did you like him coming back, or like me? So even though I like his Master, do you think it's just a bit too much again in one single story?
Well, I'm going to keep my thoughts on that until the very end.
Okay.
Of the review, because there's one more thing I want to talk about before. Well, I guess you could sort of put a few things into this, and that's the Cybermen as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I love the Lone Cyberman. I love his look. I thought last week he was absolutely awesome. I still think the design is incredible, and I love the difference in the sort of more human Cyberman that we're getting with him. But he'd done my head in a bit this week.
Oh dear. In
the fact that he just talked a lot and didn't really do much. And I still like it, and I still am very much for the Lone Cyberman, and I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait to see what he does next week. But I just thought this week he did a lot of talking, but not very much else. And I found that his villain and his Cyberman became very generic with some of the things he was saying. Like every line would end with the Ascension of the Cybermen, or the rebirth of the Cybermen, or the return of the Cybermen. And every line just sort of had that generic villainous, evil climax at the end of every line. And I just felt like there wasn't much else to him. It just, every line was like that close-up evil line at the end, that the Cybermen, and it's like ooh, and then it moves on. And the only scene of him I really liked was when he confronted the young kid and killed his dad, or whoever that guy was, and he outsmarted him and he said, I know you're there, bang, kill, fine. But other than that, I thought the way that he was written and some of the things he was saying were very sort of Panto-esque, twiddling the thumb.
Too much.
Generic villainous lines.
Yeah.
Which sort of made him feel a bit more ordinary than what he did last week.
Mm-hmm.
He just became...
I get where you're coming from.
Became that generic bad guy. It's time for the rebirth of the Cybermen. It's like, right, all right, mate, we get it, yeah. So yeah, what did you think of the Lone Cyberman? I'm not saying I've U-turned and I hate the idea, but I just thought it was a bit ordinary this week. Didn't do much. Like a lot of things, didn't do much.
I get where you're coming from, where his lines were like, the Cybermen this and the Cybermen
I just
that.
felt like at the end of every
It was
line there was
too
going to be boo! Get off!
I get that part. What I didn't... Oh, how can I say this without pissing people off? The Earthshock Cybermen being in it.
The sort of Earthshocky Cybermen.
So I just felt like that was used for fan service.
Interesting.
Because I like the idea, so of the ship and all the Cybermen on it. And I also liked how they were opening the doors and there was this different type of Cybermen there. But in the other aspect of it, I'm saying, well, do you know like how the Mondasian Cybermen were back for Capaldi's finale? Well, sort of finale. They were kind of used as fan service. A bit. But with this, how can I put it? Like, so I would have rather them open the doors and find like different parts of a Cyberman, like a helmet, or like an arm, or leg, for them to piece it together. So except from having a different design of like a Cyberman there, because overall they didn't do anything.
Yeah, well that's the cliffhanger though, isn't it?
So, or like how the lone Cybermen is behind them doors. So like have half human, half Cyberman type of thing to build it up more. So except from having a different version of a Cyberman.
I loved them.
Right, okay. We are completely different then.
I thought they were fantastic. I think they look awesome. A very nice twist on the classic design. It's like a classic design in the modern era put together. I thought they looked awesome. And the way that they only come out at the end, I thought worked perfectly for the cliffhanger. I thought they were...
Yeah.
I think if you introduce them too early, I think it ruins the ascension of the Cybermen. It ruins them all coming to life. I think it's got to be the cliffhanger.
They looked awesome, but to me, it was kind of fan service.
I don't think... I think it's too early to say until next week on that one.
Because I just feel like with having them brand of Cybermen there, so it's taken away from the lone Cybermen.
No, I'm not too sure.
You're not agreeing with me at all?
No. My jury's out on them. I think they look awesome, and I think you just got to wait and see what happens next week with them. But I think they were fantastic for the build-up and everything, and the ending.
I'm just worried, you know, like past with the Daleks. So they've had like every design of a Dalek.
Oh, see, yeah, I know where you're coming
in
from
an episode.
Yeah.
So I just feel like a story works better. So there's only a few.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. Yeah.
So except for every Cyberman, because again, so I just felt like they were taken away from the lone Cyberman kind of thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Obviously, yeah.
So I want to learn more about him. It's why he's got half the face. So all this war and stuff like this.
Maybe that's the Brendan story. Who knows?
Who knows?
I'm very excited to see what happens with them.
So the Master, and the question I asked you, are you ready to... Do you think... So even though I love his Master, do you think him coming back at the end worked or not?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the sidecast.
Oh, Matthew!
Because we haven't mentioned the sidecast yet. We'll leave him till the end. What do you think of the sidecast and the humans?
They were okay.
I thought they were okay, yeah.
They haven't been the greatest sidecast we've had.
I liked the woman. I think she maybe fancies Graham a bit.
I like that.
I like that little scene.
I with the sidecast. So I did feel there was too many of them at times.
It's been a running theme of the series, though. Really, there are a lot
So
of
where
characters.
nobody knows like what they're doing or where they're placed. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I thought they were okay. I liked how they had the really sort of skeptical one who was very sort of glass half empty with everything, and Graham was constantly trying to cheer him up. I thought he was quite an interesting character. The other girl was just sort of there.
There in the background.
But I do like the leader, sort of the older woman who has that cool chemistry with Graham.
That was Graham. I love that. It was
thought
just
that was
so
great.
funny.
Yeah, I like that.
It was
I thought
just
that was
his face at the end. I was like, go on, Graham.
I thought that was really, really
Go
cool.
on.
And with their cliffhanger, of course, the Cybermen barge in. Do they survive or not? I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The other cliffhanger,
Finally.
I didn't see coming at all. Because I honestly didn't. I mean, I know the finale's called The Timeless Children. But it still might, with the whole Ruth Doctor thing. It still might go beyond this series, but I was not expecting him to pop up. And I was not expecting Gallifrey to be on the other side of that boundary. Not at all.
I wasn't expecting Gallifrey to appear.
I wasn't even expecting the Master. I'll be brutally honest. I wasn't expecting him. I was expecting him at the end of next week's episode.
Yeah.
When the dust has settled.
But him popping up right at the end, do you feel like it worked? Or again, like I was saying at the beginning, do you feel like there was just too much added into one episode?
I mean,
So the word can't.
I don't want it to take away anything from the Cybermen.
That's what I'm worried about.
That's my only worry, because you look back at Series 10 and we had the Master and the Cybermen.
Missy and the yeah.
And then you look back to the Series 8 finale, you had the Master with the Cybermen.
Yeah.
It's like it's becoming an every other series thing. You know, Series 8 we had it, Series 10, now Series 12. The Cybermen have played second fiddle to the Master in every single one of them finales. As awesome as they were in Series 10, a lot better than what they were in Series 8. I just don't want the lone Cyberman and the new design Cyberman that we've got to take a back seat to the whole Timeless Child thing. And that's the only worry with Chibnall possibly throwing in so many things.
That's what I'm worried about. Like
Next week he has got so many things to tie up.
I absolutely love Sasha's Master.
Oh, and I'm really excited to see him. Do not get me wrong.
From episode 1 and 2, and so when he popped up, I was like, oh yes, he's back. But I am worried that throwing him in to an already crowded episode messes it up even more.
It potentially could, or it potentially could be a masterstroke. I mean, when Gallifrey popped up, my first thoughts was, yes, we're going to find out more. Brilliant.
Yeah, but the question I was left answered, where does the Cybermen tie in and all of this?
Well, there's a few cool theories. I mean, the first one that popped to my head, and you hear throughout the episode that everybody's been trying to get to this boundary. And this old man, obviously, who was sat on the boundary and refused to go through it and let everyone else go through it. I mean, I think there's something going on with him. I mean, why would he not go through the boundary? The only reason why he'd stay behind and not go through it is because he knows what's on the other side. And I think it's a trap that's being placed by the Master or the Cybermen, so that every single human who's trying to escape them goes through this boundary, thinks that they're going to get, shot to a random safe part of the universe. Like the guys were saying on the ship, they want to get to the boundary because they think it's safe. I think it's a trap, and every single human in this war has been trapped into going through this boundary, thinking it's safe, when in fact it isn't. They're landing on Gallifrey, and the Master's turning them all into Cybermen. Or, quote-unquote, the Timeless Children from next week.
I see your point.
So I can see how they can tie the two together, but again, I don't want it to be the Master over the Cybermen again.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
It's been repeated twice in the last couple of series.
So I just feel like Chibnall, so it's got a lot of loose ends to tie up next week.
Absolutely. And by the next time trailer, you've got...
So it comes to Gallifrey,
the
Master,
the Doctor,
the Cybermen, the other half of the bloody story with Brendan, whatever
The
his name
timeless
is.
child.
The companions at the other side, Graham and Yaz at the other side in the ship. There is a lot to flesh out in one story.
They're going to need, like, endgame length style of like a run length. I mean, how are they going to do that in 60 minutes or 65 minutes? I don't know. And if Chibnall can pull it off, fair play to him. I mean, don't get me wrong, all these different things have got me very, very excited. But at the same time, I'm just a little bit cautious because there is a lot to be answered, and I'm hoping nothing sort of falls by the wayside, being either the lone Cyberman, the new Cybermen. The Doctor might just get completely pulled out of the whole Cybermen story and be tied up with the Master.
Yeah.
So how does that come together? I don't know. We can only find out. But I am excited for next week's episode.
I am excited.
So what would you rate this then?
I'm going to go with a 7.
Mm.
So I was tied. I was stuck between a 6 and a 7.
Oh, really? That's a bit low.
But I think 7. Stick with a 7, Liv. I'm going to stick with a 7.
I'm going to go for a 7.5.
Oh, it's what up me.
I was going to say 7 as well, but I do feel like there was some really awesome moments in there that were enough. The only thing is that the story was split into 3 different sections, and I feel very differently about each one.
Yeah.
I feel like all my action, all my attention, all the great stuff happened on the cyber ship with Graham and Yaz.
Yeah.
They were amazing. But because that part episode was so awesome, it's like the bit with the Doctor and Ryan suffered a bit because nothing happened too much up until the end. Ryan was inconsequential again.
Yeah.
The Doctor was great for what she was given, but she didn't do particularly much either.
Yeah.
In the episode overall. So, yeah, I don't know if it is just, it is suffering just due to how much is going on or what. But yeah, I'd say 7.5 is generous.
So 7 and a 7.5.
Yeah.
Just all rest on next week.
Very much so.
It's all rest on next week.
It's like last series. I mean, I thought Series 11, compared to a lot of people, I thought Series 11 was all right. And I remember saying, going into the Battle of Ranskoor Av Kalos, I remember saying, a lot of my thoughts on the series rests on the finale. And it was terrible.
As it always does with you in finales.
And it knocked the wind out of me, and I suddenly looked upon Series 11 in a completely different perspective. So I'm hoping and praying that next week is a banger of an episode. It looks like it's going to be. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed. So guys, it's been a very long review this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel for much more Series 12 content to come. Of course, we've got the finale to come next week. And then after that, we've got all the usual rankings, best possible series, all that jazz to come. The post-series jargon, as always. But of course, do subscribe to this channel if you're looking forward to that. Hit the bell to be notified when we upload every single video. And most importantly, comment below your thoughts on this episode. And we'll be back next week for our review of the finale of Doctor Who Series 12, The Timeless Children. But until then, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.